What's going on, guys? Boy, Joey Shake 72 coming to you guys a video right now. I'm here with my boy, Philly Jim. What's going on, Philly Jim?
Yo, what's up, everybody? Cheers to the most Philly Jim coming at you on Joey's channel.
And we want to talk about the NFL draft. I know Philly Jim has already had a review video of the draft already. Could go check that out, his channel. I haven't done one yet, so I figured, hey, why not tonight do a little collaborative with Philly Jim, and let's get this going with the NFL draft, and that's it. So, all right, so we go to the first round. And a lot of speculation on who we're getting. There were so many players like Josh Jacobs, maybe move up for a linebacker, maybe a few other options. But Andre Dillard for Washington State, coming to the Philadelphia Eagles, being the future left tackle. Now, I want to know, Philly Jim, what did you think of this pick, and how is it going to affect now and affect, maybe the future, and what you think of him as a player so far from what you've been hearing?
Well, I didn't know what was going to go down on that first pick because it seemed like we were just going to stay at 25, and then all of a sudden, bam, they move up and they move past the Houston Texans. They make that trade with the Ravens at like the 22nd overall pick. I firmly believe that the Texans, they were eyeballing Andre Dillard all along because they've had very bad offensive line problems. So, I mean, Howie Roseman is just sitting there like, the Texans are all excited. They're like, man, we're going to get Andre Dillard, and it's so great. And Howie Roseman just goes, bam. He moves up and he grabs him. So this is a huge move for the Eagles. I think the Eagles got the guy they wanted all along. You get a guy who can protect Carson Wentz for the very foreseeable future. I think you ended up with the guy who is the best pass protecting lineman you could possibly get in the draft. So for the long run, it's good. For the short term, it's good because you still have Jason Peters, future Hall of Famer, who can really coach this kid up this year. We all kind of sort of think this is the end for Jason Peters. Maybe one more year. I really love to pick. I think championship teams, man. I'm always saying how championship teams are built from the inside out. You start taking offensive linemen in the first round, and you keep stacking them up, and you're gonna have a really good offensive line. And then you go from there, and you get your skill position players after that. I think the Eagles did a great job addressing a need for right now and for the future.
Yeah, I agree. The future. And this is if Jason Peters could play, 3 downs a game, because at this point, even last year, they were taking him out early, conserving his energy, conserving his body, and to the point where, Big V would have to come in for some plays, and didn't really play that well. And for a guy that, Big V is another guy that's on the last year of his contract, and he's got to, prove what's going on with himself, and on top of everything else, Jordan Mailata, the big rugby star, I think they're starting to give up on him a little bit. But for a guy that's only played legit football for only a year and going on to his second year, and has had a lot of issues staying healthy on top of it, which isn't looking good either, because he was put on IR last year. So love the Andre Dillard pick. Jump, like you said, jump in front of the Texans. The Texans need guards and tackles. We're a team that needs one spot. That's it. Spot to fill it out. Like you said, the best pass protecting tackle in this draft. Now, what they're saying about him is he can't run block too well. But if you look at Jeff Stoutland's video on Philadelphia Eagles website, they went over with Frank Duffy. They went over, what he brings to the table. And he almost had an argument. He was like, I don't believe it. He's like, he run blocks really well. He's like, we're going to take care of that. We're going to take care of what he could do. Do you know that this guy, Andre Dillard didn't get one holding penalty last year? He didn't get one. I read that the other day, which I didn't even know. He never got a holding penalty last year. All last year, never got a holding penalty. Of course, there's some things he could work on. There's always, like you're fresh out of college, going to the NFL. There's no doubt in my mind, if something happened to Jason Peters, he got nicked up or something, they put him in a game, I could see that happening at that moment. And you know what? It wouldn't be a bad thing either. Let's see what he brings to the field earlier. So if Jason Peters is, I don't think Jason Peters is going to play in preseason at all. So just like Jason Peters used to not play, and Darren Sproles used to not play all preseason because they want to conserve their body, for the season. So the Andre Dillard pick, I know everyone wanted the Marquise Hollywood-Brown pick, which I thought, it was heating up. I thought something was going to turn around. The Eagles had plenty of jumping from the Texans. The Eagles could have got Josh Jacobs, and that was a huge thing. They could have got Hollywood-Brown. And unfortunately, with the linebackers that the Eagles do need, they kind of just, Evan White went at 4 for the Buccaneers, and then 10th overall, Devin Bush goes to the Steelers. So they were gone nice and early, which we kind of expected it was going to be a reach to get them. So I'm nobody likes this pick because it's not the sexy pick, because it's not a pick to where it's like he's not a big playmaker superstar. But down the road, you're going to find out that Andre Dillard is going to take over that left tackle spot, and this guy is already bringing a lot to the table now, and he's learned a lot looks like a pro, and is already coming to the NFL. And with Jeff Stoutland teaching him, and I'm so glad we have Jeff Stoutland, thank freaking God, because he's probably the best offensive line coach in the league. And I'm very excited. So
absolutely.
I mean,
another thing that I read about him was that in college, and he had in 2,000 snaps, he allowed 49 pressures in 2,000 snaps, and gave up 1 sack the whole year. And the thing you got to love about this guy is he's hard on himself, and he wants to be great, because he talks about that 1 sack, and he's like, man, I have nightmares about giving up that 1 sack. He just wants to get better, and those are the kind of guys that fit the culture here in Philadelphia. So I really love the pick.
Yeah, they're saying when he's off the field, nicest guy in the world, great off the field character, great off the field guy. But when he puts that football helmet on, he's just nasty. He's just angry and nasty, and just brings so much to the table, which is great. So so that pick was very good. And I can't wait to see I can't wait just to see him play. I can't wait to see him in preseason to see how see how he manhandles guys. I can't wait. Because like I said before, Jason Peters probably gonna play preseason, so he'll definitely get some snaps in. So this was a pick of need, because it would have been a pick of need last year. Technically, it wasn't a need, but it's a need for after this year, and it's all about the future. Got to think about the Carson Wentz money coming soon, so you got to get this team ready with some young guns on this team to get it going for the future. So, anything else to say about Andre Dillard? I'll move to the next pick.
I'm good, man.
Okay. So, second round comes. We're all figuring out what the hell the Eagles going to do. We need to go get a running back, badly. We need a running back badly. Are they actually going to do it? Are they actually going to get another name? Are they just going to get some different name that we don't even know? And they're just going to draft someone we don't really know too well. But the Eagles draft Miles Sanders from Penn State. And, we all know what he brings to the table. Really, Jim, you could elaborate on what Miles Sanders is bringing to this offense and the kind of player he actually is.
Oh, yeah. Miles Sanders, man. What you're getting from Miles Sanders is a guy who he has such a good jump cut ability, and he can make people miss. He can find the holes, explode through the holes, and make a miss. He can turn a play that should be a negative 10-yard gain and turn it into a first down. He's fast. He can go east and west. He can also he's also not just a finesse type of runner. He also has a little bit of size and some strength. So he can really lower his shoulder. He's about 215 pounds. And he can lower his shoulder, and he can finish off a run. And he catch the ball out of the backfield. And he does everything that, Doug Peterson and the offensive staff that they're looking for in their running backs. And I think he's going to do a great job. And eventually, hopefully, Deuce Staley can coach this guy up, because he does have a lot of he is very similar to LaShawn McCoy, not only with his game, but when LaShawn McCoy was coming out of Pittsburgh, 2 questions about him. His ball security, he had a little bit of fumbling issue, and he was not the best in pass protection. Same thing with Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders, I think you have a guy like Deuce Staley. We mentioned how, Jeff Stoughlin's one of the best offensive line coaches in the league. I think we got the best running back coach in the league, Deuce Staley. This guy, he can really coach up his running backs. I think he's gonna get Miles, get those things cleaned up for Miles, and you'll see Miles eventually develop into that lead running back that we've been kind of searching for ever since Shady McCoy was traded.
Yeah, no, I was really happy with this pick, and I was like, thank God, like a guy that we've actually wanted. And we looked at a few of them, like Miles Sanders, like Darrell Henderson, a few guys, but the guy that we wanted, other than, having Josh Jacobs, of course, was getting Miles Sanders into this offense. And even at his press conference saying, he's watched LaShawn McCoy, and, wants to have, wants to have a better career in Philadelphia than LaShawn McCoy, wants to do a little bit better with what he has with this offense right now. And what he brings to this offense, like you said, like LaShawn McCoy takes that he has, the skill set he does have like him. His jump cut ability is just ridiculous. I mean, makes guys miss. And it's funny because when you watch an overhead view of where he runs, you think he's going to run in one direction, but he doesn't because his vision is so good. Like, you're like, holy crap, I did not see that coming, running in another direction. Like when he's behind blockers, it's a mysterious thing that you do not know where this guy is going to run. And he jumps out with a lot of speed. And for one thing, especially when he's getting tackled or he's in a group tackle where he's getting tackled by, 2 or 3 guys, that guy keeps running his feet. He doesn't stop. Even for he's always guaranteed to make somebody miss. I mean, you see those, even the highlights that he had with Penn State. I mean, he's what could have been a 6-yard loss turned into a 5-yard gain, even if it's not a first down. You know what I mean? So he's going to you have some speed. You got a little bit of juice when you have Miles Sanders in this offense. Like, then you got Jordan Howard right there too with him. I mean, the red zone. I mean, this is going to be unfair. Especially we'll get to the other facts of the rest of the offense later, but with what we have now at the running back position, Miles Sanders could be the face of this running back group in the future. And not even just that, you got Saquon Barkley on the other side of the New York Giants. This is going to be a face-off. And Miles Sanders has a chip on his shoulder, and he wants to show that he's not living in the shadow of Saquon Barkley, and he's his own type of player. And this was a good fit. No, he's not no Saquon Barkley. I understand that. Generational talent, great fucking player, love Saquon Barkley. But the way a running back fits into a certain offense and how it's going to work. He doesn't care if it's a running back by committee. He don't care. He knows who's in this room. He knows Clement's here. He knows Jordan Howard's here. I mean, all young guys, very young running back group right now. So I think, with Miles Sanders coming in, I feel so much better. A little bit more pressures off Carson Wentz, and he doesn't have to, Carson Wentz doesn't have to, go crazy and be so mobile every play and take hits and, try to escape the pocket all the time. You have a running back like that as a safety blanket, just like Zach Ertz is a safety blanket. This is another safety blanket you have in the backfield, and that's Miles Sanders.
Yeah, man. I mean, I just want to hit on one more thing you said about Miles Sanders, how he's at his press conference and he's like, yeah, man, I really looked up to LaShawn McCoy when I was coming up. Heard about him when he was in high school and everything. But I want to be better than LaShawn McCoy. I want to have a better career than he had. And you can't have a much better career than being the all-time leading rusher, which Shady McCoy is. So he has like that. He has like that attitude that you want in a player. You said he has a little bit of an edge because he was just Saquon's backup. He doesn't want to be in his shadow anymore. He doesn't want to be the next Saquon. And he doesn't want to be the next Shady. He wants to be the next. He wants to be the first Miles Sanders. And I think I think that's great, man. I think Miles will be great for this team, man. I'm very happy we drafted in the second round.
Yeah, I'm happy they got. I'm just happy we have a running back now, and a running back that's familiar with the area, and because being from Penn State and everything, and knowing what these fans want, and knowing how important it is. And he's seen that this team has won a championship, and hopefully he brings a little bit of juice. And I know he's gonna have a. I think he's gonna have a little bit of. I wouldn't say too much of a learning curve. I know he'll have to work on some things, just like you said, like with LaShawn McCoy having having he was fumbling when he was fumbled the ball a lot when he went to college, and then like after he came to the Eagles, he barely fumbled the ball like whatsoever. So they kind of, they fixed him up on that. But like you said, Deuce Staley, best running back coach, and could coach him up, and we're gonna see what he brings to the table. I'm excited. I'm excited to see. I could be wearing a Miles Sanders jersey this year.
Oh, I already know I'm getting one. Guy. I'm excited to see him, man. So let's move on to the next pick, though.
Okay. Next pick, we go into. We're still in the second round. Okay, so we pick up a wide receiver, JJ. I can't even say. Is it Arcega?
Arcega-Whiteside.
Okay, JJ Arcega-Whiteside, big slot receiver at 6'2", 225 pounds, from Stanford. What do you like about JJ Arcega-Whiteside?
What I love about JJ Arcega-Whiteside is he's just a wide receiver that defensive backs, corners, and safeties, they just hate to play against him because he loves contact. He's a red zone beast. You can just throw the ball up to him, and he will come down with it in the end zone every time. A great jump ball receiver. But what he really brings to the table, I think where his value is he loves the contact. So he is going to draw a lot of pass interferences. And the defensive backs, they just hate going against this guy because, first of all, you make any catch, he can box anybody out. He's very, very similar to Alshon Jeffrey, who we already have on this team, who's already a beast at catching the 50-50 balls. Now you got another guy who can do the same thing. And if you bring both of them on the field at the same time, you're looking at sort of a similar thing that the Chicago Bears had when they had Alshon Jeffrey when he was very young and Brandon Marshall. Defensive backs, they just hate going against this guy because he will take the contact. He doesn't care. He will box you out, and he will draw the pass interference every time. JJ Arcega-Whiteside is going to be a good fit in this offense. It's going to be, fans are going to really like this guy once they see him on the field.
Yeah, Alshon Jeffrey makes it look pretty easy, but this guy makes it look very easy, even more easy than Alshon Jeffrey. I mean, it's like using that upper body, using his body, like you said, he's going to draw a lot of penalties, using that upper body. And I mean, there's times where he would catch the ball, knock the guy down, knock the DB on the ground, and just run for a touchdown. I mean, just crazy. I've never seen the guy has abnormally long arms, big hands. Guy can go up and grab it. And a lot of fans aren't really happy with this pick, and they're kind of already putting him on the downside right now. Like, we should have got DK Metcalf, that went to the Seahawks, which we were in position to get DK Metcalf. But for a guy you're seeing on tape, for what they want, it's all about what they want with this offense. It's not any like you could take the difference from Nelson Agholor to Whiteside and be like, okay, Nelson Agholor has a little bit of a deep threat capability in the slot because he could do a go route and he can go down and catch these long passes. But from Whiteside's speed from college to the NFL, like, he's not going to burn people, but he's probably going to find those open spaces, middle of the field, catch the balls, contested catches if possible. But I don't think Carson Wentz is going to have a problem throwing contested catches. And him going up and grabbing them. And like you said, the red zone threat we have a lot of red zone threats. You could easily put they can easily take Deshaun Jackson out, put Whiteside in with Ertz, everyone's over 6'1", 6'2". I mean, it's just crazy. In the red zone, we should have no problem. Plus with the backs that we have the top running back. We have the top running back, red zone running back from 2018 in Jordan Howard, plus having Miles Sanders behind there and Bristol with Ertz and Jeffrey and everybody else, forget about it. And then Carson Wentz is already a big guy, tall guy. So throwing to these guys is going to be a lot more easy for him as well. So the whole DK Metcalf thing, I don't get it. I think there was so much more buzz about DK Metcalf when he all of a sudden he did really well at the combine. It was like a combine thing, because before that he wasn't really talked about till he went to the combine. He had a good
Right.
combine, and that was it. But I heard a lot of bad things as the weeks went by. His route tree is really bad. He doesn't have polished route running. He's a nice physical catcher going up, but other than that, I think the Eagles, once I've researched and seen what this guy, seen what Whiteside's all about, I could see that this guy is very athletic for his size, and will go up and grab that ball wherever he is, and it doesn't matter. So if an opposing team has a small corner, don't think twice. Doug Peterson's going to go after that corner, and with Deshaun, forget it. Forget it.
Man. There's just too many options for the offense, man. But I'm just gonna add on to what you said about the whole DK Metcalf thing. I think what the problem is that fans every year at the draft, there's all these big names and these skill position guys, and you hear these big names, you're like, oh my gosh, we got to get this big name. But the big names are not always what you want to get. I mean, DK Metcalf, he did a great job at the combine, but I'll be the first one to tell you, I'm not a huge fan of the combine. It doesn't really matter to me how you test at the combine, because I've seen a lot of players do really bad at their pro day, have a bad 40-yard dash time. Like, you know how much I hate the Saints and stuff, and how Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara are just like so salty about everything. But Alvin Kamara, when he was coming out of Tennessee, he had his pro day. He ran like a 4.7. Does he look like he runs a 4.7 on the field? No, he's very fast. So, I mean, I do not get caught up in the combine. I like DK, but there's a lot of things that I'm not like a huge fan of. Like you mentioned, he's not really that good of a route runner. He has a lot to learn. His receiver coach better hope he can get that figured out for him. But I really, really like the whole JJ Arcega-Whiteside pick. I think he's going to do some things in this offense for us.
Yeah, no, like with the combine now, like this is like political stuff now, because now with like, like back in the day, like early 2000s, but probably in the 90s as well, probably the 80s as well, like with drafting players, right? When you draft a player, like you just draft them because of their skill set, you draft them because of how they play. Now it's so bad now that these scouts are like, they're so picky when they draft somebody now, like his arms are not big enough, or his arms aren't long enough, his body, he's too small, he's too tall, he's too what I mean, like and it screws up a pick that a team could get a superstar, a team could get a good player, but they're so picky about like the metrics of how a person, the human body of a player. It's just crazy now. Like they go way too much on like his hands aren't big enough. Like I hear the stupidest things before drafting a player. But JJ Arcega-Whiteside is going to strive with this offense, and we promise that 100%. So, if anything else to say about Arcega-Whiteside, we'll go on to the next pick.
Next pick.
All right, so to the fourth round we go. We pick up Sharif Miller, the defensive end from Penn State, 6'4", 254 pounds. A rotational guy. This guy will probably never be a starter in the NFL, but I'm glad we at least drafted somebody on the defensive line. Chris Long is not going to be here, and he's not coming back. So if anyone's promising, everyone's hoping that, he comes back, it's definitely not going to happen. I think when you're getting with Sharif Miller, you're getting a guy that could probably be a good rotational guy if coached well and really, strives himself to get better. And I think when you get out of Sharif Miller as well, is a guy has a really high motor. The guy doesn't take plays off. The guy keeps going and going and going. And that's really it. What do you think about Sharif Miller, Philly Jim?
I think it's a good pick. Like you said, Chris Long, we don't know if we're going to get Chris Long back. We're probably not going to get him back. This is probably going to be the end of his career. I really can see him retiring and just hanging it up. So going into the draft, not being really sure if you're going to get Chris Long to come back, it's not a risk that you want to take. So you want to go ahead and grab that rotational guy, like you said. Right now, anyway, he's definitely not going to be able to start, and it may take him a while. I'm not going to say it's totally impossible, but I think it's pretty much a long shot that he'll ever be like starting material. And there's some things that he needs to clean up with his game, but I think those things can be helped out because you really got a lot of veterans in this defensive line room, especially on the defensive end. You got Vinny Curry, veteran, Brandon Graham, veteran. So these guys have been there and done that, and they can take young Sharif in and they can show him some things that he could just the fundamentals that he could just clean up, and then it'll make him that much better. But I really do like the pick in a rotational pass rusher. So it looks like our defensive line is pretty set with all the depth that we have now, signing Timmy Jernigan and all of that. So I feel good about the D-line.
Well, Sharif Miller, okay, so he reminds me of like a Vinny Curry.
Yeah.
He's a guy that's going to maybe disrupt the backfield, but he ain't going to have the sack numbers. That's what I kind of see from him being, getting in the backfield, making some tackles, or not even doing that. As long as you're a defensive lineman for the Philadelphia Eagles and you get pressure, that's all that matters. The numbers don't matter. As long as when you get pressure on a running back or, make him fall step backwards, or you get pressure on a quarterback and make him move, you're helping another guy out to make a play. And that's what it's all about. So I wasn't upset about this pick at all. I like it. I think, he could have a lot of upside. I think honestly, it's all about the coaching. I think the coaching is going to be a big effect. And I think, I don't want him to not make this team because we kind of do need him. We need, with Chris Long being gone, we have to replace that. So just like Chris Long, he doesn't have the numbers, but, he made plays. He stripped quarterbacks. He's done it. He's made plays. Little bit hard to replace, but I think with Sharif Miller coming in here, I think at being coached the right way, I don't think he's going to be a total bust, but I think as a rotational guy, that's where he's going to be comfortable. And like you said, the veterans, all these guys that can help, especially it doesn't matter if it's defensive end, defensive tackle. You have very good guys right now. That could show him the ropes and teach him things and be there for him. So, I have no problem with this pick. So I'm good with it.
Great.
You can announce the next pick.
Okay, so with the next pick, Philadelphia Eagles select the quarterback from Northwestern. What was his name again? Clayton.
Clayton
Thorson. Clayton Thorson. The guy that has a really strong arm. He's big, and that's pretty much the only reasons the Eagles liked him. This was the one pick where I was kind of like,
huh?
What the hell kind of pick was that? But the only thing I could probably say is Nate Sudfeld is scheduled to be an unrestricted free agent after this year. And Nate Sudfeld's been here. He's been with the team for the last couple of years. So he's been really getting developed by some good guys that know how to develop a quarterback, like Doug Peterson, among others. So maybe they think he leaves and maybe this guy has a chance, but I don't really know, man. But the only other thing I have to say about this pick is Donovan McNabb. If you're watching this video, I hope you're happy, man, because you finally got what you wanted. The Eagles drafted a quarterback.
Yeah, so I watched the draft. I watched the on the Philadelphia Eagles website, they're doing the live stream of all the picks. So when this pick came up and Dave Spadaro was, how is the room when they picked him, and all that. They talked about Jesus, I have to look up his name again. This is bad. So Clayton Thorson, yeah, like you said, big body. They said he had a big body. He takes a lot of hits. Okay, I don't know if I guess that's a good thing. He shouldn't be getting hit, but he takes a lot of hits. He was around a really bad roster at Northwestern, and he's got a strong arm, and that's all I really got for you. But from the draft, watching what they took from him is he's got really bad accuracy. So Nate Sudfeld is the backup quarterback. And we can't forget he has that second-round tender on him. So if he plays well in preseason and just say a quarterback goes down, or something happens, a team that is interested in Nate Sudfeld will have to give up a second-round pick on the second-round tender, which I highly doubt that's going to happen. But I think they could have went another position. I mean, this is – I wouldn't want to say it's ridiculous, but it's kind of ridiculous because you already brought in that AAF quarterback. You're going to bring in another guy that's just out there from a practice squad. And then you have Nate Sudfeld and Carson Wentz. So as of right now, I think this was a waste of a pick, really.
And don't forget, if worse comes to worse, Greg Ward Jr. was a quarterback at Houston. He was like a Heisman candidate when he was a quarterback at Houston. So worst comes to worst, man.
Oh my God,
we got Greg Ward.
I'm glad Greg Ward is back. I'm glad. I was a big fan of Greg Ward, but from all the spots that were taken that we needed depth, he wasn't going to make the team. But he plays a good inside receiver. I like Greg Ward. I've always been a Greg Ward fan. Never really had his chance, but the guy's a promising receiver. But did good in the AAF. Didn't do too bad at all. But I don't know. This pick, not feeling it.
Nah. So that's pretty much the end of the draft. I mean, we go on to trade our seventh round selection that we did acquire in a trade where we traded back picks, which, by the way, New England Patriots traded up for a punter with that trade. They selected a punter with our pick in the 5th round. So we pick up their 5th round pick and we pick up whatever the hell the guy's name is. I already forgot his name again.
Clayton Thorson.
And then we get that 7th round pick and we move on and we trade that 7th round pick to the Indianapolis Colts. Pick up the defensive tackle Hassan Ridgeway. So what do you think about this guy and what's he gonna do? What is he gonna mean for this team, if anything, other than just maybe competing for that 4th defensive tackle spot?
I read today that the Eagles have been trying to get Hassan Ridgeway for a long time. That's what I read today. And probably because he does really well in a 4-3 scheme, but the guy's he's 24 years old, very young. And he's only, I think, started 6 games. I think he has 4.5 sacks. I mean, this is what I think of it. You have Fletcher Cox, you have Malik Jackson, you got Timmy Jernigan, then you have Trayvon Hester, you have Bruce Hector, and now you have Hassan Ridgeway. And Hassan Ridgeway is probably going to be in competition for the 4th spot.
Right.
Probably. And Hassan Ridgeway has more experience than Trayvon Hester, and actually that's probably wrong. They probably have just the same amount because I know Trayvon Hester was with the Raiders. I think he was with the Raiders for a while. But from what I read today, the Eagles have apparently Howie Roseman has been wanting this guy for a long time. That was the news on him. So if he can come in and he's never going to be a starting defensive tackle in this league, obviously, but if this guy can come in and be a good rotational piece, beat Bruce Hector, I'm done with. Trayvon Hester, besides, blocking the kick, the dink doink kick, Cody Parkey, other than that, I think he had maybe 1 sack. I think he only had about 1 sack this year. But he's not really doing too much. I want to see Hassan Ridgeway come in and see if he actually could beat these guys instantly. I want to see, and I have a feeling that you could have bring in as many guys as you want. I don't care, but if Hassan Ridgeway could do something with the, could beat, especially for that 4th spot in the rotational, I wouldn't mind it.
I think it would be good, man. If this works out and he does well in a rotational spot, your defensive line depth is pretty set, and you're pretty much getting back to 2017 form when you had this defensive line was just Fletcher Cox was just staying so fresh because he was always getting subbed in and out because he had Bo Allen backing him up, and that's what I think Hassan Ridgeway is going to kind of do, that Bo Allen type of role where Bo Allen would just eat up blocks and stuff the run and didn't count on him to do too much, but he did his job and he did it well. So I think that's what we're going to get with Hassan Ridgeway. We'll see what happens in camp. Maybe Hester beats him out, but I don't think so. I think Ridgeway is going to be your fourth guy.
Yeah, I think so too. I think anyone's really better than Bo. I think Ridgeway would be better than Bo Allen, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
Bruce Hector was a young defensive tackle that was undrafted from Florida State or whatever. It was a school in Florida he went to. And he was supposed to be very promising, Bruce Hector, and he hasn't panned out. So, I mean, like you said, if this guy pans out and, Hassan Ridgeway works out, I mean, this is going to look good. He's only $800,000 cap hit this year, so not much money at all. The Eagles traded for him for some reason and think, he thinks that he brings a lot to, Harry Rose. He brings a lot to the table in the rotation. He is what they're looking for in a defensive tackle. We had the chance to go draft a young defensive guy, which they tried. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think we wouldn't have that. We wouldn't have, Andre Dillard right now. I think, they tried moving up to the third pick of the draft. They tried trading with the Jets. They tried moving to the 13th overall with the Miami Dolphins, which they went after Christian Wilkins. So just had that feeling, but I'm glad. But with the Hassan Ridgeway, I think it's smart because instead of just drafting somebody that's not going to pan out in the 7th round or whatever, they're gonna bring in a guy that already has NFL experience and can learn from the veteran guys and could do some different things. So hopefully for the 4th spot, he comes in and does some good things. So that's what I'm hoping for.
So that's pretty much it for the draft.
Now we're going to move on.
I want to say one more thing about the draft because I am going to include Deshaun Jackson in our draft because we gave up our 6th for Deshaun. So you get like a couple years out of Deshaun and all the other guys, throw all the other guys from this class in. I think you got to give the Eagles anywhere from like a B+ to maybe an A-. The only thing that I would say like hurts the draft grade overall is the whole Clayton.
You're forgetting his name again.
I just can't remember the guy's name.
This is bad.
He doesn't have he can't just have a regular name. Like, who the hell have you ever met? His name is Clayton. Like, kind of name is that? Like, seriously. But anyway, other than that pick, I really thought it was a really damn good draft.
All right, so your grade?
We go with A-.
Okay. I'm going to go B+, A-. I'm probably going to go B+ just because I hate that quarterback pick. I hate it.
It's fair enough.
I mean, if they went after if they went after any other position, I'd probably say A-. But just because of that, I think I'd just make it a B+, which is still good, which is fine. Want to go after, not going to go after every day because a lot of these guys are going to make the team. So I want to go after the undrafted signings that we have acquired. And one guy we're going to talk about right now is TJ Edwards, linebacker out of Wisconsin, right?
Right.
What do you think about TJ Edwards? A lot of buzz about him right now, all over Philly media, that this guy could be the next star linebacker for the Eagles.
I definitely think the guy has a chance. He's very, very good at covering people. He's not really fast, but at Wisconsin this past season, he led the team in interceptions. He led the team in pass breakups. He struggles in man coverage, but getting back in zone coverage, he's pretty good. He doesn't have the speed to go sideline to sideline, but he's not slow by any stretch of the imagination. Supposedly he is working on that speed though, because supposedly what I heard was he's lost a lot of weight this offseason. He was projected to be a 5th-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
Ended up going undrafted. So if you get him in here, depending on for him as a player, it depends on what kind of scheme you put him in. But I think he could fit in this scheme, especially when we don't have really a guy for. We got a big question mark for their linebackers. What is Warlow going to do? We didn't get to see him last year. Unfortunately, he tore his ACL and OTAs or camp or whenever it was. Nigel Bradham, of course, and Camus Grugier-Hill, and of course the guy that we signed from the Pittsburgh Steelers, who did LJ Fort, who did really well at the end of the season. But overall, in a vacuum, it's just kind of a big question mark. TJ Edwards has his chance to leave his mark in OTAs and training camp in the preseason and earn a spot on this team. And if it pans out, then this draft class will end up being very well because we didn't even have to use a pick on this guy.
Yeah, TJ Edwards, big fan. Just the way he plays, and they've I guess identified him as he's just a tone-setting downhill linebacker. Could play inside, could play outside. The guy is always his tackling is amazing. He gets his hands on someone, they're going down. Barely anybody breaks tackles on him. And he gives the contact, and he's always energetic, and he's always hyped up. That's what I've noticed about him. He's just a monster, and you know he's gotten. You know, I know his coverage skills aren't the best, but man, that guy can go up and get a football if he really has to go get it. He's one-handed, catches up in the air. He's done some good things, but I think he's like a lot of other players that don't get drafted and look at Corey Clement for a guy that was never in the passing game at Wisconsin, and then we turn him into pretty much a guy that can catch out of the backfield or whatnot, and look how he's turned out. 100 yards receiving at the Super Bowl. I mean, you wouldn't expect it, but hey. He worked out pretty damn well for us besides, really getting an injury last year. But with TJ Edwards, he has a chip on his shoulder, and he's going to come in here, especially anyone that's undrafted coming in onto a team is going to have a chip on their shoulder, and they're going to want to prove something to the whole league on passing on them. But like we all know, if some people kind of don't know this, because I have people ask, that all these guys that are undrafted, they get to pick what teams they go to. So that's probably the upside to the players that don't get drafted. They get picked wherever they want to go. And they know that, he knows that the Eagles have a need at linebacker. And what the good thing about it is, we can talk a lot of crap about, the other players on the Eagles, especially with the linebacker spot. We have guys that have some experience, which is good. Nate Gary has experience on the field now. Paul Warlow, of course, he hasn't done anything because he's, tore his ACL, like you said. And, before, he had the ACL injury, and when he was on the Lions, he was a special teamer and started here and there for the Lions, but was hurt as well. And then with the Falcons for 3 years, he was an absolute beast and could run east and west. He's getting up there in age. I think he's hitting his 30s now. But if he can work out, you have a lot of guys, what if guys, like what if he does something, this could work out. But the good thing about it is you have guys that already have a lot of I wouldn't really mind Camus going in there. I'm not a big Camus fan, but I don't mind him going in there. Nigel Bradham is, for his age, probably one of the best free agent signings we had in a while. And Nigel Bradham's always playing at a high level, always is. We need that linebacker that runs east and west. We need that guy that's going to go. But I guess, I don't know, the Philadelphia Eagles are not really they weren't really high on getting a linebacker. Maybe they already – I don't know when these undrafted, the undrafted guys come in place after the draft, obviously, because they weren't drafted. So I don't know what the plan is there. I don't know if they'll bring in another guy and just do some competition for training camp, and then the odd man goes out pretty much. They could trade for a guy. They could sign. I got to check the free agent linebackers. There are guys out there, like Zach Brown. You bring in a veteran guy like Zach Brown that's still out there. I'm surprised he's still out there because he actually played really well for the Redskins the past 2 years. TJ Edwards is a very solid signing, and it's a low risk, high reward. So we'll be looking for that, especially for preseason and how he's doing in training camp beforehand.
Absolutely, man. It's something to look forward to.
So probably one more guy. I don't know if you have another guy, but I want to check out another guy, the deep threat from Penn State, DeAndre Tompkins. I don't think it's Tompkins. I think it's Tompkins from Penn State. I think he's a one-trick pony type deep threat. He ran a 4.3 at the combine. Very, very fast. see how he fits in. I don't know with the wide receiver depth we do have, because we have Mac Hollins that's been dealing with injury. Mac Hollins, I'm so upset over, because he looked like a real promising starting slot receiver, and just, I don't know, and just had injuries. And then you have Braxton Miller that we ended up getting from the Texans, was the big Ohio State quarterback, and he's back there. He's got some speed on him, but I think he's mostly a slot guy as well. But we don't really have an outside, another, besides Deshaun Jackson. There's really nobody else that's playing outside. You really don't have anybody. DeAndre Tompkins, if he comes in and he shows that he could be that deep threat, he has that deep threat capability, and he can, go up and get the ball, and if they give him some chances, if he works out, then who knows what could happen. But that's just another guy,
Yeah, I mean, with DeAndre Tompkins, what I see is like another DeAndre Carter. I don't know if you guys remember DeAndre Carter, but we had him last year, and then Darren Sproles apparently came back from his injury, and then the Eagles decided they were just going to release DeAndre Carter. Then Darren Sproles tore his hamstring again, and he was out for like 10 more games. But I think he could bring some value, special teams, returning punts and kicks, as we said. Like, he has a lot of speed. Sooner or later, I like the J.J. Arcega-Whiteside pick, but you also got to get a receiver who can just like straight up take the top out of the defense. I don't know if the Eagles are going to be able to find the guy that is going to replace Deshaun Jackson when he retires.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how this goes if they're able to develop Tompkins or one of the other fast guys that got in the room like Miller or Ward or whoever it may be. Maybe they draft one next year. But if you can get a guy to be the next Deshaun Jackson and you didn't even use a draft pick on him, there's not a whole lot I could say about that other than, it's a hell of a job just scouting talent and having good eyes.
You're done with Shelton. Like, I'm done with Shelton Gibson. Are you done with Shelton Gibson?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I remember when he got drafted, and I really thought the guy had a chance because, man, the guy was good at West Virginia, but it just never happened for him in the league. He had that one play this past season against the Vikings, and that's pretty much the only play I can remember him ever making.
Yeah, that was a double coverage catch? Or was he like double covered? I forgot how it went.
Yeah, he was like double coverage, and he made a very good adjustment, and he caught that ball. But other than that, I can't think of a time that Shelton Gibson has done anything on this team. So the Eagles, they definitely. I'm definitely curious to see how this move goes, and man, I sure hope it does work out.
Do you think it was a mistake to let DeAndre Carter walk?
Oh yeah, I think it was. I thought he was doing a hell of a job returning punts and kicks and stuff. And then Darren Sproles just gets hurt again, and then we're pretty much stuck with having no idea who our punt returner is going to be. I can't even remember if we had Aguilar or whoever was back there taking them back. But I really thought DeAndre Carter. I really liked what I saw. He got in the game a couple of times. I remember I went to the opener versus the Falcons, and he got some playing time in that game. Had a couple catches. I think the guy. I always thought the guy could develop into something really good in a couple of years. I really liked what I saw from him. So I think this Tompkins guy, he's got a chance to be what we had in DeAndre Carter, and I really hope it works out.
Yeah, I hope so too. Anyone else on this undrafted list? If I remember going over, I didn't really see anything that was flashy on there. They brought in a safety. They brought in another defensive tackle. They brought in like a running back. I don't know. I've never heard. I forgot what his name was, but they brought in another running back. So, running back wise, no, I don't. I mean, they got to bring bodies in, see how they are.
Right.
But who's the odd man out in the running back group right now?
I think it's Josh Adams, without a doubt. I don't even have to think about this one. And I know people are going to say Smallwood, but I would have to heavily disagree with that. Wendell Smallwood, man, I think I think he's earned his chance to be the fourth running back on this team. The guy, no matter what happens to him, the guy always finds a way back on the field. And when he comes back on the field, he really shows out. I mean, last year, very much depleted at the running back position. And the guy, he made some things happen. I mean, he made plays in Carson Wentz's first game back. He was pretty much Carson Wentz's best receiver in that game. I mean, they threw the tight ends the whole game. He caught that long pass from Carson Wentz. Like I said, the running back room was depleted as well. So he had a few plays against the Rams where the guy he just found the holes and he finds the hole, and when he finds the hole, he just rips through that hole and gets as many yards as he can, keeps his legs churning. With Josh Adams, I mean, this guy's over 6'2". He's 225 pounds, man. He's a big guy. So, Josh Adams, he sees the holes, but it's like he stands there and waits for the hole to get even bigger. And it's just not going to happen, bro. You just need to get through that hole, get whatever yards you can pick up, and then nobody's going to tackle you, man. You're 6'2", you're 225 pounds, you're too big. You just keep running through people, and I just can't stand it because he does it. It's not just like he does it here and there. Like, it's like almost every time he gets the ball, he waits for something to happen, and it's just not going to happen. I think Wendell Smallwood, without a doubt, is your fourth guy.
Yeah, I probably agree with you, Josh Adams, because like you said, Wendell Smallwood, man, he has come a long way. When he first his first year, I was like really bad. He was just really bad. Like, he had a few runs here and there, showing promise that he could run with the foot. He could run the football, and then just every year, and then so far, like now I think the last year of his deal, and my God, when he gets his chances, he's become an all-around good running back that could do almost anything. Not the fastest guy in the world, but man, seeing him in the Rams game, just seeing him being physical and like for his size, like you remember he would get the ball and he would run toward. Didn't give it. He didn't care. He would just run shoulder down, running. I mean, keep running his feet. Doesn't matter. I mean, it'd be like third and one, third and two, and Josh Adams, like, you can't stop and just change it. Like, when you're third and one, third and two, you just have to go. Like, use your body. You have a big body, use it. And we just, honestly, Josh Adams was just here because I think due to injury he got playing time, and then when he had his chances, he had some good games, like two or three games, whatever it was. But it's just to the point where you can't have a big guy like that. That's like signing LeGarrette Blount, and that's what he does. It's just, it makes no sense at this point. So odd man out. Boston Scott probably going to be a special teamer, most likely. You can't forget about Boston Scott. I think he'll be actually a good punt, a kick returner. We need some speed at because honestly, we haven't had that special teams wise, like since like Josh Huff left, we really haven't had that guy at the kick returner. Like, we haven't had that guy, and Josh Huff used to be the guy at the kick returns, and we really don't have that guy right now. Because I've seen, like, it would be Smallwood and Clement. I think in 2017 the kick returns, it was like Smallwood and Clement in the back or whatever it was. They had a few guys here and there, but for the running backs, I definitely have to agree that he's either got to show something. I just don't think he could stand up to what he's got in front of him.
Yep, totally agree. I know for a fact we did sign like a couple of safeties.
Yeah. Nobody that's going to really do anything. I mean, for this year, we're good at safety. For this year, we're fine. But
the only thing I'll say is that it's good for Trey Sullivan to get like some more guys in here to push him and compete with him. So at least get better. But we got three. We pretty much got our three safeties, maybe even four. I don't know. That's the thing, man. I don't know what they're going to do with Maddox, because they may not choose to do anything with Maddox and just tell Maddox play here and play there, because he just has that much versatility and do it all. So I mean, with that being said, you pretty much got like four quality safeties on your team for the start of the year with Jenkins and McLeod and Maddox and of course the man. whose imprint is still in Lincoln Financial Field from when he got ran over by LeGarrette Blount, Andrew Sendejo.
Yeah, Sendejo was a good signing. I have to say, it was a very good signing for us.
Anything's better than Corey Graham.
Yeah, I mean, he's old. He's getting a lot. He's old. He's an old guy now. It's just, he was a nice product for us at that safety spot because Malcolm could move around the field, and that defense was just so loaded that having a veteran like Corey Graham there it just really did help, and he made plays. I mean, he wasn't quiet all year. He got a few picks. He made plays. So, he got another ring out of it. So, that's just something else he has on his resume. So, I'm not upset. We had to move on. We had to. And, after this year, McLeod is gone after, we restructured him and saved a little bit of cap. He's going to be going after this year. Malcolm Jenkins with 2 years left on his deal. Don't know what's going to happen. He's going to get a new deal for a year or whatever the hell it's going to be. I don't know. But that's another gaping hole right now that the Eagles are going to have to figure out. And they didn't really do anything in this draft, of course, but like you said, the versatility of like Maddox, they can always move guys around. I have a feeling that they're going to shuffle some guys around, and I know you have Trey Sullivan back there because I'd give it to Trey Sullivan. He comes in and does what he's got to do. Not the best safety in the world, but he's been on and off this team like crazy, and when he gets his chances, he's in the game. Not the best guy in the world, but the guy does. The guy's a hard hitter, and the guy does his best, but it's still not going to help us regardless. But you have depth, I guess, not great depth, but depth to where they can come in, and that's why you got to rely on this pass rush for a lot of things. But you can't mask up everything in this secondary. I want to see what they do with Rasul Douglas. I want to see what they do with Jalen Mills if he gets beat for a spot. Will they move somebody to say? I mean, not this year, but could be down the line. Could somebody move? And how many times have Eagles fans said, hey, why don't put Rasul in the safety spot? Why don't you put Jalen Mills in the safety spot? Because Jalen Mills played safety and played fucking corner at LSU. So, I mean, I think, I'd rather have Mills run forward than, try to cover someone running, on open field. I'd rather have that happen. And Jalen Mills could be beat for his job this year. Ronald Darby has something to prove, and on a 1-year deal, and that's really it. I think the Eagles like this secondary. I think the front office didn't want to change anything, didn't want to screw up the mojo, keep the guys together. I think that they didn't want to touch. They didn't want to mess up this secondary. We pretty much have the same secondary from last year, pretty damn much the same secondary. So have everybody back. Crayvon LeBlanc takes the nickel spot. I can't wait for Crayvon LeBlanc's future with this team, and then having Avonte Maddox really shown great promise, even getting picks, jumping in front of receivers, getting picks. I mean, almost having a few more picks. He's actually dropped a few picks, some before getting it, going out of bounds, not having good, his feet placement before he gets the ball going out of bounds. I mean, the guy is just very promising for a 4th-round pick, very promising, and being thrown into the fire his first year because of injuries. So, the Eagles didn't want to mess with the secondary. The Eagles like the secondary. They're going to beef up the defensive line. And, safety spot, you got vets. You got veterans in that safety spot right now. Andrew Sendejo is just another hard-hitting piece that I don't mind because the guy is just a downhill safety. That's what you check his highlights. You just see a guy just run so fast and just try. He doesn't care how he tackles somebody. He just comes in like a bull and just – it's just nuts. But, like you said, the safety spot, it's going to be a problem after this year. So luckily, Eagles got compensatory picks. You have an extra 3rd-round pick, an extra, I think, 5th round, an extra 7th round, something like that. You're going to have 3 compensatory picks probably next year. So hopefully we should be set by then before we give Carson Wentz the big payday.
Yep, that's going to be good, man. I mean, just got one thing to say about the secondary. You got Jalen Mills and you got Ronald Darby. These guys are in the last year of their deals. You got Crayvon in the slot, like you said. We love the way Crayvon plays the game. Maddox brings a lot of juice and a lot of energy to the team. I mean, this guy gets his hands on an interception, man. He's just like so fast once he gets it, man. I just remember watching him get that pick 6 against the Tennessee Titans. That was his first interception of his career, and he pretty much intercepts the ball and he runs to one side of the field, puts the whole Tennessee Titans offense / defense on skates on that play. Guy is really fun to watch, but the one guy that we want to see something out of is Sidney Jones. Drafted Sidney Jones in the second round. Could this be the year where Sidney Jones, he's able to his injuries have been killing him, man. All those hamstring injuries. And if he can just find a way to overcome that, can Sidney Jones have a Nelson Aguilar or Brandon Graham type of resurgence? As we know, those two guys I just mentioned, when they first came onto the scene, it wasn't looking so hot. But can Sidney Jones, can he have that type of resurgence? That's the question we got to ask ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's definitely. I'm glad we didn't draft him in the first round. I'm glad, who knows what could have happened? If we drafted him in the first round, he didn't have the Achilles injury, and then he could have just been getting these hamstring injuries. I mean, he was going back into games injured. I mean, it's just, don't blow the game and just put this guy back out there. I mean, I know he wants to play, but I think hopefully being healthy, full offseason, no rehab. Comes in here and shows what he's got, but is he an outside corner? I honestly don't even know at this point, because he needs to be 100% fully healthy for me to say. Because if you're playing injured and your leg doesn't still feel right, or your hammy doesn't still feel right after the injuries, it could affect you long term. I mean, especially at the corner spot, when you get hurt as a corner, it's one of the most the hardest positions to come back to your full self at, because you have to cover, whether you're a nickel, it doesn't matter what kind of corner you are, but it's so important to stay healthy. So hopefully Sidney Jones comes back and does his thing and could be that corner that we drafted him to be, that we took a chance on him to be. And hopefully he can come back to his normal self, because I really don't want to see more. I totally forgot about Sidney Jones. I just forgot about him, because I was just very disappointed in just his health. It's either he's got to figure out some sports science stuff, and his medical staff's a whole different story right now. We don't even know what's going on with that, but hopefully he can come back to his full self and he could be that corner that we drafted him. And that's it. That's all I got to say about Sidney Jones. Hopefully he's ready.
Absolutely.
So, other than that, that's really it. We covered the draft. We've covered the undrafted signings, and we kind of went some extra things with this defense and what we kind of need and what's going on. So we know what holes we need, guys. We know that Carson Wentz is going to get paid probably next year, and me and Philly Jim definitely agree on that Carson Wentz is going to avenge the league this year and be the player that he is, because a lot of doubters out there. There's no shadow behind him anymore. He is the leader, and he is the guy going into the season. So other than that, that's all I really got. So Philly Jim, you got anything to say? Oh, by the way, subscribe to Philly Jim. Pretty much does the same thing I do. You guys already know what's going on. Philly Jim covers everything, all Eagles news. Please go subscribe to his channel. Check him out. We'll be doing a lot more of these collabs soon, but Philly Jim, floor is all yours, bro.
Yeah, guys, if you guys would sub me up, I would appreciate it. I need 10 more subs to get to 500. That would be huge. But yeah, man, very excited about the team, excited about Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz Revenge Tour is coming. He is going to be 100%. He has that great wall to protect him. He has Miles Sanders and Jordan Howard now. He has Deshaun Jackson down the field. He has Alshon Jeffrey in the intermediate routes. He has Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert down the seams. He has Nelson Aguilar still. JJ Arcega-Whiteside. He has everything that he needs to be successful. And I think he could have a better season than what he did in his second year, when he really popped that second year before he tore his ACL. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, a lot of pieces. I think the Eagles have, if you want to grade free agency and then grade this draft as a whole, I think you could probably put an A- on it. just because how he went after needs in free agency. He went after needs. He got a deep threat. He got a linebacker in here that's had a good year at the end of last year in LJ Fort and could be a promising coverage linebacker. You get Jordan Howard in a trade, a steal, have a free, I mean, it was just literally here, and that was it. We took it right off their hands. Going to be a 5th round pick most likely because he's going to get a lot of playing time. But the upside to everything, especially with the draft right now, is that Carson Wentz, just like Philly Jib said, Carson Wentz has everything he needs, and there's no excuse for him to fail. There is no excuse. He's got everything. I think there's never no pressure on him. There's going to be pressure on him, and this is a contract year. He's got to show something this year. It doesn't mean he's going to take plays off. Doesn't, in his mind, he knows he's got to play to his full capability. He knows all the background noise, all the negativity from all the press conferences, even the first press conference coming back, and just negativity that he's not going to do anything. This is going to be a very, very important year. The Eagles have a huge chance to get back to the Super Bowl this year. I got a huge feeling that the Eagles could make it deep in this playoff run this year. I'm not going to go crazy and go forward and say we're going to be there, but Carson Wentz needs to play at 100% capability for that to happen, because you're not going to have Peyton Manning plays bad and your defense is going to bring you to the Super Bowl. That's not going to happen with this team. I mean, hey, if it does, cool. But I want to see Carson Wentz with my own 2 eyes. I think we all want to see Carson Wentz with our own 2 eyes. I don't want anybody – I don't want everything else outside helping him out of this team. I want him to be that guy that does it for this team. I don't want it to be the excuse that, the defense did this, Carson didn't do this. You know what I mean? The defense had more, pick the ball a few times. Carson Wentz didn't have a chance in this game. I want Carson Wentz to take over. If you're not scoring 30 or more points with this offense, then I don't know what to say about it. But for right now, it's all about Carson Wentz is my main priority. I'm not worried about the other positions right now. I want to see Carson Wentz do his thing. In preseason, we swept it under the rug last year. We said, you know what? It's okay. You know what? Carson Wentz will come back, and then Nick Foles came in and everybody was playing bad. And we just said, it's just preseason. Well, this is why preseason is really important, because you're specifically watching everybody. And I don't care if we win or lose preseason games. It doesn't matter to me. I like to win, but at the same time, you're specifically looking at players, and that's what it's all about. Like productivity, giving people chances, giving these players chances to what they could showcase to this team, to make the team. That's what it's all about. So if I could take the most important thing that's coming out of free agency and coming out of the draft, is all connected to Carson Wentz and what he is going to do with this high-powered offense that is totally unfair. You have one of the best offensive lines in football. You have the best deep threat in football. You have one of the best intermediate route 50 ball catches with Alshon Jeffrey, and you literally just went and just took Jordan Howard from the Bears. You drafted Miles Sanders, Corey Clement's proven, and Wendell Small is an all-around good running back. You have everything. Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert, everyone has shown promise. There's not one guy on this offense that hasn't showed any promise other than our draft picks. But I'm saying right now, there is no excuse at all.
None. And he's not going to need an excuse. I mean, I really, truly believe in Carson Wentz. He's going to pop. But it's like you said, man, this team is going to go as far as Carson Wentz would take us. The guy has a chance to be a great quarterback in the league. I think when he's healthy, with all this stuff around him, he can play like a top 5 guy. I think we're going to see a great comeback season. It's very exciting. Love all the moves we made. Another thing I want to throw out here real quick. We went over all the moves, but probably my favorite move goes to the defense, picking up Malik Jackson, because you bring him a guy who can really make an impact and take a lot of pressure off Fletcher Cox. If you take pressure off Fletcher Cox, then you have a problem on your hands. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah. Yeah, if you take your favorite move from each side of the ball, I'd say Malik Jackson. I'd say on the offense, Deshaun Jackson, probably the best move so far. I mean, just having Deshaun Jackson's going to open up so much underneath throws, everything. I mean, it's going to open up for everything. No closed box, no, I mean, Jordan Howard just smiled when they mentioned Deshaun Jackson's name at the press conference. I mean, it's going to be insane. Carson Wentz is going to. You're not going to know who to throw the ball to, or you're not going to know. You're really not going to know. But, man, this is going to be exciting. I can't wait till the opener against the Redskins. I will be there. I can't wait to be there. It is going to be fun, and it's going to be so exciting just to see these guys put everything on display. And that's it. So I'm good. I'm good. We covered everything. I'm good. I'm good with it.
That's it.
So, all right, guys. So, like I said before, subscribe to Philly Jim. Get him to 500 subscribers, please. He deserves it. And and that's it. So we covered pretty much everything, and that's it. So we'll be doing more collabs soon. We still have, we got mini camp coming up, see how these rookies come in, do the thing. And then when training camp comes, so we got a little bit of a ride here, but we'll get through it. And the season will be here before we know it. So that's all I got to say. So I will see you guys later. Philly Jim here. Subscribe to his channel, like I said before, and we'll see you guys. And that's it. Peace out. See you guys. Fly Eagles fly, guys.
Philly Jim squad up. Fly Eagles fly.
Philly Jim squad up. Shake squad up. Fly Eagles fly. Peace.